I have bad news. You've been lied to repeatedly, and it's a problem that's getting worse. You know it, don't you? You've been feeling that way for a while. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You've felt it your entire life. There's something wrong with the information that you have been getting. You don't know what it is, but it's there like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad. It's this feeling that has brought you here. You all know what I'm talking about. Because standing on a fancy stage with a nice earbud and microphone combination and saying words like synergy and collaborative and looking like you belong to the group that you're talking about, perhaps you are stood on a red carpet. And together, all of that can make it look like you're some kind of expert. And maybe you are an expert. Maybe you're an expert in something, but maybe not in what you're talking about. Maybe you're not using that power for good. Maybe instead you're using that to share not the whole truth, but cherry-picking data to make something sound bad because you have an incentive to make it look bad. Today we're going to be unpicking Graham Conway's Contradictions of Battery-Operated Vehicles from TEDx San Antonio. We've done a lot of busting of fear, uncertainty of doubt, or FUD over the years, but this one is an absolute cornucopia of misrepresentation. So let's dig into this dispiriting heap of half-truths. But first, a subscription link clicked on, a notification bell tapped on Transport Evolved's webpage. The videos keep coming in. They call it subscribing. Oh, subscribing. Subscribing city limits. No? What's that? I should stop now? Tina Turner is very unhappy. Okay. Transport Evolved's proprietary blend of fresh as a daisy news, reviews, and context is supported by viewers like you. And by me, mauling song lyrics. If you'd like me to stop or continue, hang out till the end of the video when I'll tell you how you can support the channel. Now, before we get truly into it, I should say, because I think it bears clarifying, this video comes from a TEDx event. It's pretty hard to get in to speak at TED, but TEDx? There are about 3,000 of these independently run licensed TED events, and the criteria to get in are, well, it's easier, but you still get a lot of the cachet of a TED event, which is why this one is so very disappointing. To be honest, this particular bit of FUD actually got me shouting at the computer because, and I'm going to give Graham here some kudos, because this is undoubtedly a masterclass in presenting information in a way that feels authentic, that connects with people, that inspires you to feel like he's really sharing with you, sharing insights he's gained through genuine experience. He shares that he owned an EV for 3 years. That's how you know you can trust him when he's talking about EVs. You know he's had skin in the game. Interestingly, he doesn't share that he's Dr. Graham Conway from the Southwest Research Institute. You'd think he'd want to talk about his experiences at a leading non-profit, where he's the principal engineer in the automotive division. I mean, it might be slightly undermining when you realise that the Southwest Research Institute was founded in the 1940s by Tom Slick, son of noted king of the Wildcatters oil baron, Tom Baker Slick, Sr. That might give you pause. That might make you wonder what it specialises in, and if you were to look, you would find it specialises in a variety of things, including oil and gas exploration, pipeline technology, vehicle, engine and powertrain design, research and development, and it recently announced that, quote, through a multi-year DOE program, Southwest Research Institute is investigating cooled spray technologies to control particulate emissions from non-road heavy-duty diesel engines. That might make you wonder if there was some other kind of agenda at work here. But I'm sure when we get to the figures, we'll see that this is just a talk aimed at furthering our transition to a clean energy future. Or not. There's honestly not enough time for me to get into every single thing that's wrong in this TEDx talk, because quite honestly, there's basically nothing in it that's actually a fair representation of fact. So we're going to pick some of his bigger talking points and look at how he pulls you into the feeling that your gut instinct, which is being played on so strongly here, should be trusted. First up, he talks about horses. For those of you lucky enough not to have had Shouty Bob forward you the TEDx talk we're looking at, or wise enough to realise that you probably shouldn't click on the link from Shouty Bob, well, let's start at the beginning. He uses this idea of horses to explore the fact that horses produce CO2 and that we implicitly understand that horses breathing out carbon dioxide is different to the process of burning fossil fuels and outputting CO2. He explains the concept of fast and slow carbon dioxide cycles, how a horse eating grass, turning it into energy, then breathing out the CO2 to be reabsorbed by plants again is okay because it's a fast cycle. Pulling out coal that's been in the ground for millions of years, then burning it, releases millennia-old CO2 far too quickly for it to be reabsorbed back into the cycle. That CO2 ends up hanging out in the atmosphere in just the way that bricks don't, and works on making our planet like a Vogue on ships, Den Tracy catering, hot and actually remarkably unpleasant for something that's meant to be nice. Okay, so he's using his narrative technique to tell you that you are right and that your gut feeling should be trusted over the science, or at least over some vague notion of the science. He's prepping you for a walk down a narrative path to some truly whopping misrepresentation, although I'm certain that somewhere he's got the paper that demonstrates that all these numbers are actually true if you just do your sums in just the right way. But then he tells you that you need to look at energy generation as a whole world statistic, not where the energy is being used. It sounds reasonable when he says it, kinda, because of the story he's been telling. During the run-up to this, he uses something called an appeal to common belief, which is a common logical fallacy, in a section where he reminds everyone that electricity comes from coal. As an aside, it's interesting to note that he never really mentions oil or gasoline much. I mean, you'd think he'd want to, given his ending, but no, he just harps on and on about coal. And yeah, I think we can all agree that we do need to make energy generation cleaner the world over. And it is true that in some places, most energy comes from burning coal. But if I charge my car off solar, that's where the energy is coming from, not from the coal plant. My solar does not get dirtier because somewhere else is burning coal, unless I'm using energy that needs to be replaced by a coal plant. But since I'm using massively less electrical energy than would be needed to refine the oil I would be using were I driving a gas car, I'm not. No one driving an EV is. The overall energy usage is so much lower for EVs that driving one leaves energy going spare compared to extracting, refining, shipping and burning the fossil fuel needed to drive the same distance. And to pile on the evidence to the he's spouting bovine byproduct, as Nikki might say, in fact, in Washington state where I live, fossil fuels only make up around 30% of energy generation. The rest comes mainly from renewable sources. In Europe, increasingly renewables are replacing, at the moment, natural gas, but historically they've been replacing coal. Both of these trends will almost certainly continue to accelerate, in part because of Russia's war on Ukraine, which has rather clearly highlighted for many Europeans and Americans just where their energy was coming from and the person they've been supporting, but also because financially, fossil fuel power stations have dramatically lost their edge to renewables. Renewable energy is just simply cheaper than fossil fuel energy, even with the massive subsidies that we're still, for some reason, giving to fossil fuels. So it's getting harder and harder to build those fossil fuel plants because no one wants to lend money to a plant that will never make it back. So when he explicitly states you're just moving the pollution, that's wrong. It's a massive misrepresentation. I mean, if you live in Poland maybe, but even then the scientific consensus on EVs is that they're still cleaner. Sure, you do need to look at where the cars were built as well as where they're used, but many of the EVs are being built in factories using renewable energy. So all that does is continue to add to the fact that his numbers are rubbish. And the ride doesn't get any less wild as we continue down this festering wormhole of dissimulation. He claims that a gas car produces 30 tons of carbon dioxide in the use phase emissions. That's just the CO2 output from the car through its working life, which he says is about 180,000 miles. This is a number that I have no concept of where it could realistically have come from. Using the EPA's 1 gallon of gas releases approximately 9 kilograms of carbon dioxide, I still come up with over 50 metric tons for a vehicle averaging 30 miles per gallon. Volvo's life cycle estimate is about 40 tons of carbon dioxide for a 200,000 kilometre lifespan. Scaling that up to match for 180,000 miles that Graham is using, that is 59 and a bit tons of carbon dioxide. So I mean, I just can't even. Then things get even more weird because suddenly producing an EV only produces around 12 tons of carbon dioxide, which could be valid-ish and isn't wildly off from the answer the environmental research study we covered a while back came to. Only in that study it was for a 300-mile capable EV, and Graham here claims it's for a 125-mile capable EV. Here he's using lots of fallacies, including that chestnut we talked about earlier, the appeal to common belief, because many people have no idea how far an EV can go these days. So this argument serves multiple purposes. It's reinforcing the idea that EVs are all short range, that they won't work for many people, and at the same time suggesting that EVs aren't as clean as was claimed. All of us clever people knew those scientists were wrong, didn't we? But you know, screw those scientists. Why? Why should we listen to them? Why should we listen to them with their careful experiments and their measuring things? Your gut reaction is far more accurate. You know when things are wrong, you know when they're bad, and you really shouldn't be allowing these things in this day and age. These things should not be allowed. It's just simply impossible. Shouty Bob was right all along. It's all down to the lizard people and the gays and the Jewish space lady. I'm not going to belabor the point here because we know that EVs are cleaner. Even if they did only last 200,000 kilometers, which they don't, they last much longer. And even if they were powered exclusively off coal, which they're not, they're powered off a grid mix that keeps getting cleaner. And even if they killed kittens in their spare time, they'd still be cleaner than gas cars, which I suppose do kill kittens, incidentally. I mean, kittens are also susceptible to fossil fuel pollution. But organisations who have a vested interest in maintaining the status quo, even though it will soon make the planet hideous and increasingly difficult to live on, they need to keep spreading this FUD to make sure that the transition to cleaner transportation slows down. So having spent about 10 minutes massaging your ego and telling you just how clever you are for seeing through all these so-called scientific studies, that's when he piles on with everyone's favourite logical fallacy, the argument to moderation. Just drive a hybrid, he says. He's not saying that we should go back to gas cars. No! Just drive a hybrid. It's the moderate answer. Why a hybrid? Not even a plug-in hybrid? Because hybrids still run on gas. They get all of their energy from gasoline, and the fossil fuel industry looks in the mirror and sees Bill Door there. They know the end is getting closer and that people won't put up with the pollution much longer. They also know that EVs are better than fossil fuel vehicles. They're quieter, faster, more comfortable, lower maintenance, cheaper to run, and they last longer. And the more people experience them, the harder it is to keep the lie going that EVs won't work for a lot of people. It's going to get rough for a while as an EV driver because the sewer of misinformation which was just trickling is becoming a deluge. So prepare yourself with facts and expect to encounter a lot more of this stuff. We're here to help give you the tools and highlight the ridiculousness to counter your very own shouty bobs. That's it for today. Thank you for watching and bearing with my TED kind of experience. We'll be back soon with more. If you liked the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to leave your thoughts below or in our free to join Discord chat room. There's a link in the video description. If you want a more generalised news roundup in the world of cleaner, greener and safer and smarter vehicles, check out our news roundup show every weekend. And don't forget we produce videos every single day on this network for you to enjoy, ranging from deep dives and tutorials to unboxings and reviews. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to this channel and our other channel, Transport Evolved Take 2, and give the bell a gentle ring to make sure you're told when our next video goes live. Thanks on behalf of the entire TE crew go out to the folks on my right for being our $15 to $49 a month supporters. Special thanks to our $50 a month patrons Chris Maxwell, Pedro Muro Pinheiro, Patrick Boyarski, Bennett Elder, Brian Newton, David Kitchen, Michael Goad, Ricky Leong, Andrew Martin, Guido Drahota, Brophy Wolf, Tesla in the Gong, Gordon C., Stephen O'Donoghue, Kyle Hodgson, Anthony Coates, Regine Fellows, Rory Litwin, Jim Burness, Chris Ascenter, Chris and Michael Johnson, Peter Dillinger and Denny Hyde, and our deepest gratitude to our $100 a month Patreon supporters Anonymous Freak, Marcel Ward, Reggie Watts, Joe Bresney, Reed R, JP Fagerback, Russ, Will Graylan, Matthew Drobnak, John Lyons, Andrew Glenn, Paul Conway, Laura Reynolds, Ellery Hensley, and of course Ian. Want to be part of the amazing list? You can join Patreon at the link below. You can hit the join button also below to support us on YouTube, or show us your support through Bitcoin, Ko-fi, or our cool swag store. Links are all down there. And if you're unable to support us financially, just know that watching the video and sharing it makes a real difference to our ad revenue and keeps the algorithm happy and less inclined to attack. Thanks for joining me. And as always, keep evolving.